want you guys to squeeze the absolute most you can out of this week. Leverage the conversations, the relationships. It doesn't mean you have to talk to 1,000 people. Maybe it's only 10 quality conversations, but there's massive opportunity in this room. And I don't want anybody to be distracted by all the other things to think about and to learn about and all the people walking around. There's opportunity right here in this room, massive opportunity. So 4.5 years ago, I was collecting unemployment. I was writing screenplays. I made like $6,000 that year. It was a banging year. And I produced a feature film, and I lost my wife's life savings in the feature film. At the time when she let us borrow the money, she was not even my wife. It was about $100,000. It was her nest egg. I get emotional just thinking about it because it's still not funny. Losing our own money is easy, but not somebody else's. And so we were $100,000 in debt. She had been working since she was, in college, just saving this small nest egg. So we recklessly put it in a film, and I lost it. So that was almost 5 years ago. I was not only in the doghouse, but it was dark. It was dark times. And thankfully, the smart one of the two of us, I know you can imagine, you can guess who that is. This gentleman's actually pointing. He thinks that I'm the smart one. She started listening to podcasts, learning about real estate. And very quickly, we debunked this kind of myth of ours that, you have to have money to invest in real estate. And we were thinking it would be way down the road. Her dad trained her, to think and do multifamily. So we're like, one day when we have enough money. What we quickly learned is that's not true. And so we learned about wholesaling right away. And it was like, cool, your broke ass can start wholesaling. And she really came to me and she's like, okay, honey, you're going to stop everything you're doing. You're going to put aside the screenplays and the headshots, and you're going to start pursuing real estate. Obviously, like a very obedient caveman, I was like, okay, I'm all in. Okay, whatever you need me to do. So we started consuming as much information as we possibly could. We had I think our second kid on the way, podcasts, meetups, conferences, books, you name it, right? Earbuds, jogging, it was crazy. Consuming as much content as we possibly could, as much education. And that was the beginning for us. That was the beginning of this momentum. And the momentum at that point came from excitement. We know it's 80% mindset, life is, right? And it's so true, and so is this business. You got to be excited always. We're going to break that down a little bit further today. You got to keep the excitement going. You can't stop. You can't afford to stop. You can't ever let things start going down. You can't let the plane go down. So we started consuming all this information. The podcast, the meetups were in Los Angeles, packed with people, tons of information. And so then what did we do next? We're hearing the people we really like talk about their mentors, their coaches, and that they wouldn't be where they were today without their coach. Brandon Turner was one example, in Bigger Pockets. And we're like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. We don't have the money, but we can actually go invest time and money with somebody who is already a professional at what we want to do. And we're going to be able to take years of education, information, and access, condense it into months and weeks of education. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. We didn't have the money, but we hired a coach right away. It was over 4.5 years ago. In the last 4.5 years, I've never not had a coach. In fact, currently I have 3 business coaches. The reason I am obsessed with coaches and I'm like a reckless ATM machine is because I love investing time and money and energy surrounding myself by people that are absolutely crushing the game I want to crush. I love it. We're in an amazing world today where we can surround ourselves by the best of the best. And that's all we've done for the last 4.5 years. How do we get in those rooms? How do we get at those tables? How do I get calls and chats with these guys? I want to learn and consume from the best of the best. And so we started doing that. So these three key elements here today: the deal flow, partnership, and mentorship. We're gonna further break down this concept of momentum, building, sustaining, growing as much massive amount of momentum as you possibly can. That's you guys. That is your career. This momentum, it'll take you where you want to go. You all have huge dreams. You're already living them. You're pursuing them. I'm sure a lot of you are very active in the business already, and we can't afford to stop. I feel like the storage is all a big family, and yet it's also a competition, and you have to outcompete your competitors, outwork your competitors. So something started happening early on. We weren't aware of it at the time, but the next step was my coach taught us how to underwrite. We're like, cash on cash, cool, makes sense. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Okay, cool. And so we pulled out all the equity in our house. God bless California. There was only 90,000, but it was enough. Pulled that out. My wife's like, okay, we're paying interest on this. You got to find a deal. And I'm like, okay, again, very obedient caveman. I think I can do this. I think I can hunt. So we had that 90K, and I started calling and looking for deals like an absolute lunatic. Literally, just calling everybody. Craigslist, LoopNet, Crexy. I didn't even know really what I was looking for, but multifamily, cash on cash. Got to find that 10% cash on cash return. That's what my coach told me. That's what these meetups told me. Da-da-da-da-da. I started calling like crazy full time. We found our first deal, triplex in Texas. That deal was a nightmare. COVID hit 2 weeks before we closed. One of my tenants was a crackhead, fell off the wagon, started smoking crack. I was getting messages in the middle of the night on Facebook by a guy named Tiger. He was huge and really tan, and he was telling me that he was going to go smoke crack at the house and that my tenant was the dealer. I started having panic attacks. No kidding. I was waking up in the morning after a full night's sleep, calling the doctor. I'm like, the kids were out of school. I was watching them. My wife was in her W-2. I didn't have time to deal with these problems. Telling the doctor, like, I'm waking up in the morning after a full night's rest, and I'm still having panic attacks. We got through it. School started again. 3 days later, I found my next deal, 11 unit on Craigslist. It was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was stalking at the time this guy on Bigger Pockets that every time I talked to, he was like an encyclopedia for real estate investing. We had learned about wholesaling in one of the programs we purchased online, and so I was trying to wholesale in Albuquerque, so I was chasing all these cash buyers. He was like the big cash buyer. Every time I'd call him, he'd be like, oh yeah, East so-and-so street. I'd buy it for like $60K if you could lock it up now. I'm like, you don't even need to see the property. He was amazing, and I kept like trying to just attach myself to that guy. And he was really scary on the phone. Like he hated me every time I talked to him. So something started to happen after this next deal. So the 11 unit I ended up buying with my partner and my mentor. So now, without realizing it, we started implementing the three key elements that I'm such a huge believer in: partnership, mentorship, and deal flow. It's like a love triangle, and one won't work without the other. The biggest missing piece of the puzzle that I find when I'm talking to people is the deal flow. It's very interesting because, in my opinion, deal flow is the lifeline of our career, in my opinion. Deal flow is the lifeline of anybody's career, because I don't care if you have 0 facilities or 30 facilities, you're only as good as the next deal you can find. And if you can't find more deals, then guess what? You can't grow, you can't scale. So I like to challenge and encourage everybody, don't worry about the capital. Don't worry about how you're going to fund the deal. Don't worry if you can drive to the facility. Guam, we can't drive there. We can barely fly there. It takes 18 hours and the kids kill us. Don't worry that you can't afford it. Every single deal I've bought, I never had the money for until closing. If you can focus on the deal, If you can focus on the deal and if you can get good and learn how to find deals, guess what? Everybody wants to be your best friend. Everybody. Every person in this room, I'm going to guess, probably would take a great deal if I had a brochure for one. Off market, 60%, purchase price, value add mom and pop. We all want those deals. So again, the structure, the partnership, every deal will tell you what to do. But until you have the deal, you don't know how you're going to take it down. You don't know who you're going to partner with. You don't know your execution yet. Don't worry about it. Just get great at finding deals. And if it's not your personality, partner with somebody. So we had our snowball started really rolling for us. We had partners that knew way more than us. We had mentors. And now we had deal flow. And the deal flow, guys, for me, it was just picking up the phone and calling everybody I could. The first deal I bought, the first self-storage facility, was the next deal. My partner, this guy I stalked on Bigger Pockets, he now was my partner. We couldn't believe he was partnering with me. I'm not the smart guy. I'm like the caveman hunter, seriously. And this 30-year investor was going to partner with me. We couldn't believe it. And now my mentor, but it was an opportunity. My partner told us about a cash flowing market in southern New Mexico that was very, very cheap to get into, good cash flow. So what I did, I remembered, I went back to this course we bought online back 4.5 years ago when we were tucking our kids to bed, learning everything we could. Matt Terrio, Epic Real Estate, taught me how to pull a list of owners. I pulled a list of owners in that city, about 20,000 people. I called every owner on the list. I call usually and I'm just like, hey, it's Cameron, call me back. Like I know him. And nobody called yet. And so I exhausted all possibilities. And so then I jumped on Google Maps because I knew this market was a good market for us. And so I started driving Google Maps, looking for buildings that looked like apartments. I found a building that looked like an apartment, and in front of the building on the Google Maps photo, it said for rent by owner. And I was like, oh man, I remember that from one of the podcasts, for rent by owner. That means the owner is going to answer the phone. So I called and she did. The funny thing was they weren't apartments, they were condos. She turned out to be a mortgage broker who later got us our loan on some fourplexes we bought from that list that I pulled. But during our conversation, a long one, it's the conversation. It's going back to the conversation. She said, you know what? A bank called me the other day and they just bought another bank and they had a couple REO properties. You should call them. After we hung up, I Googled REO, found out that meant bank-owned real estate. And so I put it, at that time, I had no CRM. I'm the worst organizer, wrote it on a sticky note that thankfully I found a month later. And a month later, I called this bank. And I said, hey, I was scared, I was intimidated. I'd actually never, even though I'd had 2 deals under my belt, I hadn't ever talked to a lender. It was really intimidating for me. 4.5 years ago, I didn't know what a title company was. So now talking to a lender was a big deal. And I said, hey, somebody told me da-da-da-da. And he said, we don't have any multifamily, but we have a piece of land and then we have a self-storage facility. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. I've heard great things. I like storage. I hung up, I called my partner, right? Because you can't do this alone. You can't get where you guys want to go alone. I'm confident in saying that. I know I can't. Called my partner. I was like, hey, Todd, I found a bank-owned self-storage facility. He's like, buy it. I go, okay. What do you mean? He's like, buy it. We're going to buy it. I'm like, oh, okay. So there is no way in a million years I would have ever bought that thing if my partner wasn't like, buy it. We were scared. We had it was 50,000 square feet of warehouse. It was on 6 acres. It was a beast. He was even scared. But we bought it for $6 a foot. And if we bought it for $330,000, it's worth at least $3 million right now. We have 20,000 to still expand on. But that deal scared me to death, but it was life-changing. And I found that deal through many different rabbit holes, starting with the list I pulled from the program I bought online, and then ended up on Google Maps, and then ended up talking to somebody else that talked to somebody that told me about somebody else. It was a rabbit hole. I did not trip over this deal. I found it. I found it buried deep below the earth. So that was a big deal because we now were starting to feel all of these key elements a little bit more. Deal flow, partnership, mentorship, opportunity, education, mindset, leverage, consistency, accountability, partnership, scale, support, education, accountability, consistency, mentorship, education, insight, confidence, consistency, accountability. You kind of see the same few words in every group. You got the consistency, the accountability, of course, the education. And so all of a sudden, our career started changing very quickly. When I was under contract on that first self-storage facility, what did I do? I called the storage coach, right? It's very simple. I've had him the whole time. I still pay him. I don't even know why. I don't even have time to show up. It's on auto pay. Sucks. So now we were surrounded by these partners that knew way more than we did. We had the momentum from the deal flow. Guys, I'm going to go back to deal flow. I had so many conversations with people that I asked them how their deal generation's going, their lead generation, and it's kind of like a glazed look. It's okay, it's really hard. The deal flow has kept me going for the last 4.5 years. I've never once been bored. I've never once been discouraged. In fact, the deal flow creates so much opportunity and excitement, and that's the mindset. That's the momentum. Oh my God, I got a seller on the phone. Oh my God, they called me back. They want to sell. I sent a letter out. Oh my God, what do I do now? I need an LOI. Hey coach, can you send me an LOI? Actually, can you just send me a contract? Can you help me with this? Can you help me underwrite this? Is this a good deal? Coach, is this a good deal? What am I doing here? I need this, I need that. And so you're putting yourself in situations you have to get yourself out of. You have to throw yourself in the ring. You have to take giant steps, make big, bold choices every week. This career is life-changing. It can change your families, your kids, your grandkids' life. You have to work really hard. You have to make big, bold choices. You have to constantly put yourself in situations you have to figure out how to get out of. Join a coaching program. You're going to surround yourself by a community. You're probably going to pay a lot of money for it. It's going to sting. You're going to invest a lot of money for it. You're going to have to hold yourself accountable. That group, your coach has to hold yourself accountable. You're going to start talking to these sellers, and all of a sudden, they're going to bring situations to you you've never been in. You have to figure it out. What if it has expansion room? What if they're saying they'll seller carry? Seller carry, what is that? Oh, seller finance. Okay, how do I put seller finance together? What should I do? Maybe I should do a 3-option seller finance. I love those. I do them all the time. I do 2 seller finance option, one conventional, trying to bait them for the highest purchase price, obviously with the lowest interest and the lowest down payment. I wish we could have time to get more technical, but I love the 3-option. I learned that from Matt Terrio. I used to ask owners if they had cousins and uncles that had multifamily. The deal flow was like a carrot in front of me. I talk about deal flow so much because it's so important. Every week of my career, every month of my career, I had something going. Oh my God, well, even if it's not a deal, we got a good deal, or we don't know yet, let's underwrite it, right? Always action. And the action has never stopped. It can't stop. because when the action stops, we get discouraged. We get slow. The only little hiccup I had in my career was after the first facility we bought, I didn't have time to call anybody because I was like answering the phones and managing the facility. So what I did is, checking my time here, what I did, I kept finding myself waiting for more time. Oh, next month I'll be less busy. Oh, next month, you know what, I didn't make my calls next month. It was so lame and really naive to think that my life was gonna get any less busy. No, that doesn't happen. It gets more and more busy, and you never know when you had an opportunity that now you don't have in the future. You can't wait. You can't afford to wait. You can't afford to wait. Waiting is going to cost you more money than anything you ever do in your career other than maybe buying a bad deal. Please don't. The cost of opportunity is our greatest expense. Guys, we are in an industry now where there's still plenty of mom and pop operators. There's plenty of value add, but I don't know that that's going to be like that for very long. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be 3 years. I don't know if it's going to be 5 years. I don't know if it's going to be less. But right now, there's life-changing opportunity in the storage industry. You can't afford to wait. When you go back home, you can't afford to, okay, next week I know what I have to do. You can't afford to wait. So, we'll break things down a little further here. The deal flow, you get it. It's creating all these situations. My first partner, Todd Kruger, we've now bought, I think, at least 10 of these deals together, something close. Why would a guy like that ever partner with me? There's only one reason, actually, and that's because I keep bringing him great deals. If you guys can get good at deal hunting or partner with a good deal hunter, you'll have the keys to the kingdom. You'll have the one thing that everybody wants. So when you're asked how's your deal flow, don't have a lot of time to technically break this down today, but your deal flow has to be a system. You're a business. You have to be marketing for leads. You have to be in the lead generation business like any other business. It's lead generation, right? That's it. The lead generation, like any other business, a hair salon, a pet boarding facility, whatever it is, they only exist other than word of mouth because of their lead generation, their marketing. You guys have to look at it the same. How is your lead generation? Are you looking for deals weekly, daily, monthly? How many offers did you make this week? I know it's Wednesday. Unfair question. I hope one at least. How many offers did you guys make last week? I hope one a day, right? There's no other place in the industry other than going and buying land and building your own facility that you can actually start creating things for you to do every single day. One call a day. That was where I was going. So I told you about the time when I had a hiccup and I kept waiting. I knew I lost my train of thought when I was waiting for more time, and I realized, I called myself out, I'm not going to get more time. I'm not going to get less busy. In fact, I'm going to get more busy, and it's a numbers game. It was the only time my deal flow was almost dry. It felt weird. It felt uncomfortable. It was the only time in my career where I didn't have lead generation. And so what I finally did is I created an accountability pod for myself. I actually called Michael and I called another friend of mine, and I said, I keep waiting for more time and it's not happening. So what really wasn't happening, I wasn't auditing my calendar correctly. I wasn't time blocking correctly. And so I called him and I said, hey, look, my lead generation is slow. Do me a favor. I'm going to start calling owners. I'm going to call 3 a day. Will you do the same? Monday through Friday. So after each week, I'll have called 15 people. In a month, that's 60 people. Can you guys promise me to do the same? So the three of us, one 10-minute phone conversation, had a promise now to each other, an accountable promise that we were going to make 180 calls a month. Imagine that difference of lead generation from 180 calls a month from the month before that I had made no phone calls. All it took was a little bit of accountability, a little bit of promise going, it's not a time thing, it's a priority thing, and I'm not prioritizing lead generation, which is the most important part of my career. So 2 weeks later, I found my next deal from cold calling an owner. A week or two later, I found my next deal. And so, you know, the accountability aspect of the deal flow, of the partnership, of the mentorship. You know, if you call owners and they call you back, you got to make an offer, no matter how busy you are. You got to evaluate that deal. You have to act now because it's the opportunity you've been waiting for. You guys get the point. The deal flow, the partnership, the mentorship. One can't work without the other. Find people in your life, people here today, people this week, that are where you want to be, and figure out how you can surround yourself with them. Figure out the value you can bring to them. I'm going to give you a hint. It's called a good deal. That's where I'd start. If you can find a good deal, you're not going to have a problem funding it. It's pretty unbelievable. Because there's so many people out there that know what a good deal looks like and would love to help you buy that deal. It's the things that we do. It's the choices we make that make us have to do something. If I go spend $50,000 on an education, do you think I'm not going to show up? No frickin' way. Just like when I lost the money in Vegas. If I have partners that are counting on me and I've made promises to, am I not going to show up? Heck no. I've made a promise. I got a pact. You guys can't do this alone. The mentorship, the coaches. If you're in a community and you start building out accountability pods in that community, right? Surrounding yourself by the people that are doing what you want to do in your career, right? The community. We have, I don't know how many people, 44,000 something that showed up this week. All these people, all of us wanting to be better in this business. And we have the ability to surround ourselves, right? By these people. Breaking down the mentorship a little bit further, you get to create opportunity, right? You get to have people help you analyze deals, help people fund deals. People bring you deals. They need funding. It's the support, right? Obviously, the insight, the confidence. I remember when my first coach started talking about where he was investing, why he was investing, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, and you're not buying small deals because of why? Oh. Okay, maybe we shouldn't buy small deals because that makes a lot of sense to me. Oh, that's why you're doing this? Okay, I get it. I'm in. Like I am in. I get what you're doing. I'm going to just mimic what you're doing. I'm just going to rinse and repeat what you're doing, right? Very, very, very simple concept. And so that's what we've done, right? We've mimicked the best people we can surround ourselves by. Okay, so let me check my time here. I'm going to try and end it a little bit early in case we have time for a Q&A. Leave you guys with this. We have 60,000 thoughts per day, 40 thoughts per minute. 80% of our thoughts are negative, and 850 different emotions we can feel. This business, it's not rocket science, but it's really hard. And it's hard because the opportunity is massive. Life is hard. Life, from what I find, is what gets in the way of us the most. So how do we live life, take care of our kids or spouses, be the best husband, the best wife, the best parent we can be while pursuing this dream. You have to become a master at your calendar, at your time blocking, at your priorities. If we meet on the street and we had a conversation, I would tell you 3 things. I would say, learn how to create deal flow. Go find a mentor. And go find and be open to partners. 80% of our thoughts are negative. Can you imagine? We're all going to go back home, at least I will. I go back and I'm so freaking pumped. At the end of today, you're going to be so fired up. You had so many great conversations. You see it clearer than ever. Oh my God, I love self-storage. And then you're going to go home and you're going to be like, honey, man, like this was it. We're going to do self-storage. We're going to scale. We're going to hire more people, whatever it is. And then life's going to happen. And life's going to take us away from that momentum. How do we constantly keep throwing ourselves in the ring so our momentum does not stop? We got to be the snowball. We got to get larger. We got to roll faster. How do we do that by having a great balanced life? Right? Find ways to inspire yourself. Find ways to hold yourself accountable. Find people that are going to hold you accountable. Make the choices that are going to make the biggest difference in your career. You know what they are. Deal flow, mentorship, and partnership. Don't overthink things. Focus. I know it's hard. There's a lot going on. There's 80% negative thoughts. Focus. 3 things: deal flow, partnership, mentorship. Stay focused. Don't worry about the debt. Don't worry about where you're going to find that capital. Don't worry about that facility being off of Japan. Don't worry how far it is. Worry about the deal. Worry about the opportunity that's going to change your life, and everything else will follow suit. Focus. Keep yourself inspired. Keep yourself alive. Keep yourself excited, because you're always creating opportunity every week. You can't afford to have a lame week unless you're resting. That's acceptable. But otherwise, you can't afford it, because somebody else out there is going to outwork you. Somebody else is going to get the opportunity that can change your life forever. Here's my company, Storage Life. We created about 1.5 years ago. We have students across the country that we love helping out. I'm thinking there's a handle on this, but there's not. I thought there was an Instagram. But anyway, if anybody, I love helping people. I love chatting storage. If anybody has any questions after that, or you get back home and you want to talk shop, best way to find me is actually on Instagram. It's just Storage Life Cam, C-A-M. Storage Life Cam. Instagram seems to be the easiest way for me. I love helping people out. If you guys have any thoughts, questions, I'd be happy to help, happy to talk. Our time, are you guys supposed to let me know? How am I doing on time? How much? 30 seconds. Unbelievable. We're going to go to what? Do you know what room we're going to go to? D? Anyway, they're going to let me do a little bit of Q&A if anybody's interested. I didn't want to do it here. There's some tables. If anybody wants to sit down and chat, we're going to go out and around. Dude, who knows where we're going? This place is massive. But we're going to go and do a little bit of Q&A. I think Exhibit D. You can follow me, whoever I'm following. If you guys want to chat, have any questions. Before I wrap up here, big thank you and shout out to my wife. She is the best partner, life and business partner I have ever had. I would not be here without her. Yeah. Woo! Thank you guys so much. Thank you.